The sky was dark above the ruins of Valeria Prime. Once, this planet was the center of a great empire. Now, it was only dust, fire, and broken stone. Towers that had touched the clouds lay in pieces. Statues of proud kings and queens were cracked and forgotten. The war had ended, but nothing was truly over. In a silent, half-collapsed chamber deep inside the royal palace, Princess Solara sat against a cold wall. Her long silver hair was messy, her purple robes torn and stained with ash. She held something close to her chest, a baby wrapped in soft cloth. The child was very young, only a few days old. Its skin was pale blue, like the Velari, but its eyes were deep brown, not like hers. The baby whimpered. Solara looked down, fear in her violet eyes. She tried to hush it, gently rocking the child in her arms. "Please," she whispered, "don't cry. They'll hear you." But the baby did not stop. It gave a small, high-pitched cry, sharp and clear. The sound echoed off the walls. It was a strange sound for a Velari child. Velari were born with quiet minds. They did not cry. They did not scream. They were trained to hide all emotion. But this child was different. He was half-human. Solara leaned back, her body aching from wounds and exhaustion. Her heart beat fast with fear. She had run for days, hiding in tunnels and ruins. Many were hunting her. Old enemies, bounty hunters, even former allies who called her a traitor for falling in love with a human. Her child was the last royal blood, and he was a threat to everyone who still wanted power. Suddenly, her wrist console blinked. A signal. A ship was entering the atmosphere. Not a Velari ship, human. The scanner said it was a rescue craft from the human peace court. Solara's eyes narrowed. "Humans," she whispered. "Why now?" She did not trust them, but she had no strength left. If they found her, they might save the child, or they might take him away. The baby cried again, louder this time. Somewhere far above, a door creaked open. Footsteps. Solara pulled a small plasma knife from her belt. She held it tightly with one hand while cradling the baby with the other. If someone came close, she would fight. Even if she died, she would not let them take her son. Then, a shadow appeared at the doorway. A tall figure in metal armor. A human soldier. He raised his hand slowly and said, in a calm voice, "Don't be afraid." I heard the baby cry. The princess froze. The baby stopped crying. The child looked up and smiled. Something in the air shifted. Something important had just begun. Sergeant Adam Reeve stepped into the dusty room, careful not to make any sudden moves. His boots crunched softly on broken stone. His armor, scratched and burned from old battles, reflected the weak sunlight coming through the cracks above. He had seen many ruined places in his life. Earth after the solar riots, Mars after the dome breach, and now this. But something about Valeria Prime felt different. Quiet. Haunted. His helmet scanner had picked up a strange energy pulse. Weak, but real. That's why he came down from the rescue ship. His mission was simple: search for survivors and provide aid. Most of his team thought the planet was empty. But Reeve didn't believe in empty. And now, here he was, face to face with a legend. Princess Solara. She was sitting on the floor, a glowing plasma knife in her hand. Her other arm held the baby close, her body tense like a wild animal ready to strike. Reeve raised both hands slowly. "I'm not here to hurt you," he said gently. "I'm human. Peace Court." Solara's eyes narrowed. "Then leave. You should not be here." Reeve took a small step forward. "I heard the baby cry. That's not normal for Velari, is it?" The princess didn't answer, but her grip on the knife loosened. Just a little. Reeve continued, choosing his words carefully. "I thought there were no survivors, but I heard him. A real baby's cry. That means something." The baby stirred, looking at Reeve with wide, curious eyes. He made a small sound, not quite a cry, not quite a coo. Then, slowly, he reached out a tiny hand toward the soldier. Reeve smiled, surprised. Well, he doesn't seem afraid of me. Solara looked down at her child, then back at Reeve. He is different. Reeve knelt down, still keeping a safe distance. You don't have to trust me, but I can help you. Your child. If people find out he's alive, they'll come. You know that. I know, she said quietly. They already are. Solara lowered the knife, just a little. She looked tired, not just in body, but in soul. He's the last of my line, and they will kill him for it. Not if I help you, Reeve said. I have a ship. My team's nearby. We can keep you both safe. The princess was silent for a long moment. Then she asked, why would a human soldier risk everything? For me. Reeve didn't answer right away. Instead, he looked at the baby. Because no child should cry alone in a place like this. The room stayed quiet. Then, slowly, Solara nodded. Only once. Reeve tapped his command. This is Reeve. I found a survivor. 2. Actually. Requesting med support and evac. And bring a warm blanket. He looked back at the child. Half Villari, half human. Something new had entered the galaxy, and it had just begun to grow. The rescue ship hovered above the ruins, hidden behind a wall of burned trees and broken towers. The engines were on standby. Inside, medical officers waited. They had no idea who their next patient would be. Sergeant Adam Reeve helped Princess Solara walk through the rubble. Her legs were weak. Her body trembled, not just from pain, but from fear. She had not trusted anyone in weeks, not even her own people. And now she was following a human soldier through enemy ruins, carrying her baby. The child rested quietly in her arms. He seemed calm now, but earlier, he had cried again. And that cry had power. Back in the ruins, just moments after Reeve called for help, the baby let out a sudden, strong wail, a sound filled with something strange. The air itself had shimmered. Reeve's comms had glitched for a second. His helmet sensors went dark. Then everything returned to normal. Almost. What happened back there? Reeve asked, glancing at the baby. When he cried, my system shut down for 3 seconds. Solara looked down at her son, eyes full of emotion. He's not like me, she said softly. He feels more. Reeve frowned. More. Emotion. Energy. Connection, she explained. Villari children are trained from birth to hide emotions. Crying is seen as a weakness, but he was born from 2 worlds. Something in him is awakening. Reeve didn't fully understand, but he could see the truth in her eyes. This child wasn't just a baby. He was something new, something the galaxy had never seen before. As they reached the ship, Reeve tapped on the outer panel. The doors opened with a hiss, revealing 2 medics in white armor. Their eyes widened as they saw the princess and the baby. Is that? One of them whispered. Yes, Reeve said firmly. Treat her with respect. She's royalty. The medic stepped forward to help, but Solara held up a hand. I will carry him myself, she said, her voice strong despite her pain. She entered the ship, her eyes scanning every corner like a hawk. It was clear. She didn't feel safe yet. Not here. Not anywhere. Inside the med bay, as the medics began their work, the baby looked up at Reeve. For a moment, something passed between them. The child's eyes, brown, not Villari purple, seemed full of awareness, as if he knew who Reeve was. Reeve gave him a small smile. You're not like the others. The baby reached out again. Then, without warning, the child cried once more. But this time, the lights dimmed. Every screen flickered. A hum ran through the ship's floor, low and strange, like music under the surface. One medic stepped back. What was that? Solara looked up sharply. They'll hear it. Who? Reeve asked. She looked him dead in the eye. The ones who want him dead. The rescue ship rose quietly through the smoke-filled skies of Valeria Prime. Its engines hummed softly, flying low to avoid detection. Inside, the mood was tense. Princess Scalara sat in the corner of the medical bay, her back straight, her eyes sharp. She held her child close, wrapped tightly in a clean blanket. He was asleep now, but every so often, his small fingers twitched, as if sensing something in the air. Across the room stood Sergeant Adam Reeve, watching her carefully. He had seen many things during his time in the military. Rebels, pirates, monsters from forgotten moons. But never an alien princess holding a half-human child, hiding from her own people. Scalara finally spoke. "Where are we going?" Reeve replied, "To a neutral zone. There's a human colony nearby. Quiet, safe, no warships, no patrols." "No place is safe," she said. "Not with him." She looked down at her son. Her voice was calm, but there was a sadness in it. "They will chase us. The Velari High Command wants him gone. To them, he is a mistake." Reeve shook his head. "He's not a mistake. He's the future." Scalara raised an eyebrow. "You speak like a dreamer." "No," Reeve said. "I'm a soldier, but I've seen what hate does. Maybe this kid, maybe he's the start of something better." For a moment, silence filled the room. Then Scalara asked, "Why do you care?" Reeve looked surprised. "What do you mean? You are human. You owe me nothing. You could leave me here, hand me over. Yet you protect us. Why?" Reeve thought for a moment. Then he said, "Because I've seen too many children die in wars they didn't start. If I can stop that, even once, then it's worth it." Scalara studied him. Slowly, her eyes softened. Just then, the baby stirred again. He didn't cry this time, but his eyes opened wide. He stared at Reeve and gave a small sound, almost like a laugh. Scalara blinked in surprise. "He likes you," she said quietly. Reeve smiled. "He's got good taste." Suddenly, a red light blinked on the ship's control panel. "Unidentified vessel approaching," the pilot's voice crackled. "Looks Velari." No response to hails. "It's gaining speed." Scalara stood quickly. "They found us." Reeve grabbed his rifle. "Get to the vac. Stay low." "I'm not hiding," Scalara said firmly. "You're wounded," Reeve replied. "I'm still a warrior." The ship shook as a warning shot flew past. Reeve looked at her. A royal, yes, but also a fighter, a mother, and something more. He tossed her a spare energy pistol. "All right then, princess. Let's fight." Scalara caught the weapon with ease, her grip steady. Outside, the stars waited. Inside, a new alliance had formed. One human, one Velari, and one tiny child who just might change the galaxy. The enemy ship moved fast. It was black, sharp, and silent, shaped like a predator. On its side, glowing red symbols marked it as the Obsidian Fang, a Velari Hunter-class vessel. These ships were built for one purpose: to find and erase targets. No trials, no mercy. Inside the rescue ship, alarms screamed. Sergeant Adam Reeve rushed to the cockpit. "Evasive mode. Use the canyon route. Keep us low." "Yes, sir," the pilot replied, hands flying across controls. The ship dipped, flying close to the rocky surface below. Sharp cliffs and broken towers rose around them. A single mistake, and they would crash. But it was better than staying in the open. Back in the medbay, Princess Scalara held her baby tightly, using her own body as a shield. She wasn't afraid for herself. She had been ready to die since the day her empire fell. But now she had a reason to live, her child. Reeve returned, kneeling beside her. "How did they find us so fast?" Scalara's face was pale. The cry, the last one, it wasn't just sound. Velari tech is linked to emotion. That cry sent out a signal, old, deep, and strong. It activated something ancient. You mean they tracked us through your baby's feelings? Reeve asked, shocked. She nodded. Yes. His emotions carry power. If he feels fear again, others will sense it too. The baby, as if hearing them, gave a small whimper. Selara rocked him gently, whispering in her own language. Reeve stood and spoke into his comm. Weapons online. Get ready. If they try to board, we fight. The crew scrambled into position. Most were medics, not soldiers. But they trusted Reeve. And no one wanted to hand over a child to a ship called the Obsidian Fang. Then, a loud clang. They're on us, shouted the pilot. Boarding claws locked to our hull. Reeve raised his rifle. Hold the doors. We need 5 minutes to reach the colony shield zone. After that, they can't follow. The ship shook as metal arms dug into the hull. The doors hissed and sparked. Selara stood up beside Reeve, pistol ready. 5 minutes, she said. We hold them together. He looked at her. You sure? I was born for this. The door exploded open. Veleri soldiers in dark armor rushed in, their helmets glowing red. Reeve and Selara fired together. Blasts of light lit the hallway. One invader fell, then another. But more came. Reeve ducked behind a crate, reloading, just a little longer. Suddenly, the baby cried. Everything stopped. The cry was loud, yes, but it was also deep, like a wave of sound and feeling. Lights flickered, weapons jammed. The Veleri soldiers froze, clutching their heads. Then, silence. The invaders ran, retreating in panic. Reeve stared, breathless. What was that? Selara held her son close, eyes wide. That was him. He's waking up. Outside, the stars continued to burn. Inside, the hunted were no longer just running. They were fighting back. The enemy ship broke off after the strange cry. It pulled away from the rescue craft and vanished into the clouds without a final shot. The crew of the human ship couldn't believe it. Inside the ship, silence followed the chaos. Sergeant Adam Reeve leaned against the wall, heart pounding, rifle still hot in his hands. His eyes slowly turned to the child. The baby was quiet now, blinking with wide brown eyes. He rested calmly in Princess Selara's arms, sucking softly on his thumb like nothing had happened. Reeve walked over. He did something. What was that? Selara looked shaken but alert. He released a wave, not just sound, but emotion. Raw emotion, like a shock. Is that a Veleri power? No, she said, not like this. Some Veleri can share thoughts, yes. But what he did, it was deeper. He didn't just make them hear him. He made them feel him. Reeve remembered how the Veleri soldiers had frozen, their armor flickering, their hands shaking. Some had dropped to their knees, confused, afraid. It was like the child had touched their minds, or their hearts, in 1 second of raw feeling. He scared them without firing a shot, Reeve said. That's new. Selara nodded. He is not just Veleri or human. He's something else. Reeve looked at her seriously. We need to understand what he is, before others try to use him. Selara held her baby tighter. They already will. Veleri leaders fear the unknown. They will call him dangerous. And humans? She asked. Reeve looked out the window. The stars had returned, peaceful and still. Some will fear him too. But maybe some will protect him, if they see him not as a weapon, but as a child. The baby cooed softly, a small smile forming on his blue-tinted lips. The pilot's voice came through the speaker. We're approaching the neutral colony. Landing zone is clear. Reeve took a deep breath. Good. Let's get him somewhere safe. The ship touched down in a quiet valley surrounded by tall cliffs. The colony was small, just a few domes and greenhouses. It was a place for peace talks and scientific work, not war. As the ship's doors opened, Selara hesitated. You don't have to be afraid, Reeve said. They'll welcome you. She looked down at her son. I am not afraid for myself. I am afraid of what he may become, if he is raised in fear. Reeve offered his hand. Then let's raise him in hope. Solara looked at him for a moment, then reached out and took his hand. Together, they stepped out into the soft light of the colony. Above them, the stars blinked, as if watching. The child opened his eyes again. Somewhere in the galaxy, far away, others felt it too. They didn't know his name yet, but they would. The human colony was quiet, peaceful. Birds, engineered to survive the alien climate, flew above silver trees. Domes shimmered in the sunlight, hiding greenhouses and labs where scientists studied stars, soil, and the future. But peace doesn't last forever, not when something powerful has arrived. Princess Solara, her child in her arms, walked beside Sergeant Adam Reeve through the main dome. People stared. Some bowed to the princess. Others whispered behind their hands. The baby, the one they had all heard rumors about, blinked at the new world around him. They reached a private shelter at the edge of the dome. It had thick walls, clean air, and a special cradle prepared just for the child. He'll be safe here, Reeve said. No weapons, no warships, just farmers, teachers, and thinkers. Solara looked unsure. Safe for now. Reeve sat near the window, watching the stars appear in the sky. You don't trust them. I trust you, she said quietly. But power always attracts attention. Someone will come. Reeve nodded. Then we'll be ready. That night, the baby cried again. But this time, not in fear. It was just a normal cry. Hungry, tired, confused. Solara fed him, held him, sang to him in the soft, musical language of her people. The sound echoed gently in the room. Reeve sat nearby, polishing his old rifle, listening. I never thought I'd see this, he said. An alien princess rocking a baby while a human soldier plays babysitter. Solara smiled slightly. War makes strange families. Just then, the colony leader, Dr. Marilyn, arrived. She was a kind-faced woman with gray hair and sharp eyes. I heard what happened during your escape, she said, looking at the baby. That sound, that power, it's no ordinary gift. Solara tensed. He is not a weapon. I agree, Mara said calmly. That's why I want to help. We have scientists here, peaceful ones. They can run gentle tests, harmless scans, just to understand what he is and how to protect him. Reeve looked at Solara. Your call. The princess thought deeply. Then she nodded. Only if I stay by his side. Always. Of course, Mara said. The next day, soft scans began. No needles, no machines that beeped too loud. Just lights, readings, energy waves. And what they found shocked everyone. The child's brainwaves were twice as active as normal. His heartbeat changed with emotions around him. When someone nearby felt fear, the baby's heartbeat sped up. When someone laughed, he smiled, even in sleep. He's connected, Mara whispered, to others, to life, to something bigger. That evening, Reeve stood outside, looking at the stars. He didn't notice the small drone watching from the cliffs above. It sent a signal. Far away, in the dark of space, a Velari commander opened her eyes. The hybrid lives. Send the hunters. Peace was ending, and war was returning. Not for a planet this time, but for a child. In the human colony, things looked peaceful. Birds still sang. Scientists still worked. Farmers watered glowing plants under the silver sun. But Sergeant Adam Reeve couldn't relax. He stayed near the shelter, always alert. His eyes watched the hills, the sky, and every person who came too close. Something in his gut warned him. Trouble was near. Inside, Princess Solara sat with her child, holding him as he played with a soft blanket. His smile was gentle. He giggled when he saw Reeve's face through the glass window. Reeves smiled back. But behind that smile, his thoughts were heavy. The scans showed something strange. The baby wasn't just sensitive to emotion. He was learning fast. Too fast. He could already move objects with small pulses of energy. He could sense people before they entered a room. And most of all, when he cried, machines trembled. Then, on the fourth night, Reeves saw it. A flash of metal in the sky. He raised his binoculars. A sleek ship, dark, silent, flew low above the cliffs. "Velari Hunter class," Reeve whispered. "They found us." He tapped his comm. "Alert the colony. Defensive protocol." Lights flashed across the dome. Doors locked. Civilians were moved underground. But Reeve knew it wasn't enough. The hunters weren't here to scare them. They were here to take the child. Dr. Marilion ran up to him. "Is it true?" Reeve nodded. "They're coming." She looked shaken. "We don't have weapons strong enough to fight them." Reeve looked toward Silura's shelter. "Then we hold the line." Moments later, 3 dark figures landed outside the colony gate. Tall, armored in black with glowing red visors, the Velari hunters had arrived. The gate speakers crackled. A voice spoke in sharp Velari, then switched to English. "We want the hybrid child. Surrender him now, and the rest may live." Reeve stepped up to the gate, rifle in hand. "You'll have to go through me." Behind him, Princess Silura appeared, holding her son close. Her face was calm, but her eyes were full of fire. "You came to kill a baby," she said loudly. "You shame our people." The lead hunter raised his weapon. "He is a threat to the galaxy." "He is hope," she replied. The baby looked at the hunter. And then he cried. Not from fear, not from pain, from something else. Anger. The ground shook. Lights exploded above. The hunters stepped back as their suits sparked. One fell to his knees, screaming. Reeve shielded his face. "Get back. Everyone get back." The energy waves spread out like wind. The hunters tried to fire, but their weapons jammed. Then, silence. Only the baby's breath remained. He had fallen asleep in his mother's arms. The hunters retreated, crawling back to their ship, defeated by a single child. Reeve stared in awe. "He's not just a baby." Stellara looked down at her son, her voice soft. "No, he's becoming something more." The colony was quiet again, but tension hung heavy in the air. The Velari hunters had fled, but their warning was clear. They would return. This time, stronger, better prepared. Inside the shelter, Princess Stellara sat with her son. The baby's eyes were wide open, sparkling with a strange light. His tiny fingers moved in the air, tracing invisible patterns. It was as if he was learning to control something unseen. Sergeant Adam Reeves stood nearby, watching. "He's changing. Fast." Solara nodded. "His power grows every day. He can feel things no one else can. Not just emotions, thoughts, memories." Reeve frowned. "Memories? What kind of memories?" "Not his own," she whispered. "The past of our people. And something older. A force that lives in all of us, hidden." The baby reached out and touched Reeve's hand. A soft glow spread from the child's palm. Reeve felt a warmth that made him calm and strong. Suddenly, the room trembled. Outside, alarms blared. "Hunters are coming again." Mara's voice crackled over the comm. Reeve grabbed his rifle. "We need to prepare." But Solara shook her head. No more running. He must face them. Outside, the colony gathered. Men and women stood with makeshift weapons, ready to protect the child. The Velari hunters landed, their ships cutting through the sky like dark knives. This time, they were not alone. Behind them flew faster fighters, ready to support. Reeve took a deep breath. This is it. The hunters advanced, but the baby cried again. This cry was different, louder, stronger, filled with hope and courage. It echoed through the valley like thunder. The ground shook beneath the feet of the invaders. Weapons glitched and soldiers faltered. Some dropped their guns, overwhelmed by the force. Then, the baby's glow burst into light. From his small body, waves of energy spread, blue and white, powerful and pure. Solara raised her voice. "He is our future. We fight for him." Reeve led the charge alongside her. Humans and Velari defenders clashed with the hunters in a fierce battle. But the baby's energy pushed back the darkness. As the fight raged, the child's eyes locked with the lead hunters. The hunter's armor cracked and fell apart. He screamed and ran. The other hunters followed, retreating in fear. The colony cheered. The baby's power had saved them all. Reeve looked at Solara. "He's not just a child. He's a symbol." She smiled softly. A new beginning. The stars shone brighter that night, watching over a child who would change the galaxy forever. In the quiet shelter, Princess Solara held her son close. He slept peacefully, his tiny chest rising and falling with soft breaths. The power inside him had grown, but so had the hope he inspired. Sergeant Adam Reeves stood by the window, looking out at the stars. The vast universe stretched endlessly, full of dangers and wonders. But here, in this small place, something new had begun. Solara's voice broke the silence. "He is not just a child of two worlds. He is the bridge between them." Reeve nodded. "A symbol of peace." Outside, the colony began to rebuild. Scientists studied the baby's energy. Farmers planted crops under the alien sun. Children laughed, playing without fear. News spread across the stars. The story of the alien princess and her human soldier protector and their powerful child became a legend. Leaders from many planets sent messages of peace. Some were cautious, but many were hopeful. In the evenings, Solara and Reeve would sit by the fire, watching the baby grow stronger. He reached for new things, smiled at the stars, and sometimes his small hands glowed softly. One night, the baby opened his eyes and looked at Reeve. His voice was a soft sound, almost a whisper, but clear. "Future." Reeve smiled. "Yes, little one. The future." The princess smiled too. A future where humans and Velari walked together. The stars above seemed to shine brighter, as if they too believed. And so a new dawn rose, not just for a baby, a princess, or a soldier, but for an entire galaxy. The child who cried had changed everything.